Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Second Home and a very warm welcome for the year 2018. Lots to look forward to in the coming year. Today we are at KISR, the Kuwait Institute of Scientific Research, where we're talking about water purification. This event is being held in collaboration with the British Embassy. The British Embassy has invited prominent speakers from the UK and scientific researchers who are going to come and speak about how water can best be purified, breakthrough technologies, and why it is so important for Kuwait to be discussing these matters. We hope this episode will raise some awareness about what we can do as citizens, as living in Kuwait, and how we can contribute to making our environment much more friendlier and a better place to live for the next generations to come. Extremely delighted to bring to you His Excellency Michael Davenport, Her Majesty's Ambassador to Kuwait. Welcome to our program.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
We'd love to know what your views are on water desalination and its importance in Kuwait at this moment, and the reason why you affiliate yourself with such researchers within Kuwait Institute of Scientific Research.
Thank you very much. Well, I think water is important to all of us, and it's perhaps the source of all life, and therefore I think the topic of the workshop that we're running today with the Kuwait Institute for Scientific Research, water scarcity, conservation, desalination, is actually of crucial importance to all of us. And what we're trying to do is to bring together experts in this field from both Kuwait and Britain. Kuwait has huge experience in this area. I was just looking around the institute with Dr. Samira Omar, and she was telling me about the institute. A large number of researchers, I think 800 researchers, 1,500 staff. So we're delighted to be able to bring representatives of 6 leading British universities working in the field of water conservation, because we're going to have to work hard together to face the challenges that exist in regard to water conservation, renewable sources, but also new technologies for desalination.
That's great. And I like what you said about water being the building block of all life form. I mean, it's high time we pay attention to this. You know, wake up and sometimes you're so bothered about whether or not we have Wi-Fi. We forget about water, which is so essential. I would like to also talk about what you just mentioned, how you've gotten so many leading British companies, researchers to Kuwait. That must enhance a lot of good relationships between Britain and Kuwait. What do you think about that?
I think we have very, very special relations between Britain and Kuwait. I was struck this morning by the number of Kuwaiti researchers who've trained in the United Kingdom, who've done degrees, masters, doctorates at British universities. This is true in all fields, and it's true also in this sector. Indeed, Dr. Rashid, the executive director for the Water Centre, trained at a British university at UCL. So we're very proud to bring 6 leading specialists in the water sector. It's about partnership. It's about building partnerships for the future. It's also about forging links between research and research institutions on the one hand, and business and industry on the other, because I think there's a huge interest in Kuwait, but also in Britain, in combining forces and ensuring that that industry is contributing also to the development of research and to the advancement of research. and to produce applications that can actually tackle some of the challenges in this area. We need also to think about conserving the sources of water that we have, tackling the pollution question, for example.
Great, because my next question would have been if you'd like to give a message, and you've kind of covered that, saying that we do want to conserve energy. Is there anything else you'd like to tell your audience?
Well, I think the main thing that I would like to say is that we have a very good relationship between Britain and the United Kingdom across so many areas. We have a special rapport. Kuwaiti citizens, Kuwaitis know Britain very well. Kuwait means a lot to the United Kingdom, and we need to build on that, I think, and use that huge enthusiasm and energy which exists to tackle jointly, whether we're talking about the environment or whether we're talking about business opportunities, increasing trade and investment, and contributing to our prosperity for the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much for talking to us. It was lovely hearing from you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to introduce to you Dr. Muhammad Al-Rashid, the Executive Director of the Water Research at KISR. Welcome to our show, sir.
Thank you.
We'd love to know if there is any breakthrough technology of water purification. I know it's a big thing in Kuwait, especially because we have all this seawater that needs to be converted into drinking water. Tell us if there's any breakthrough technology that you're excited about.
Yeah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The Water Research Center at KISR is specialized in desalination, research, treatment, water treatment, and groundwater, and water management as a whole. In fact, Kuwait relies on non-conventional water, which is desalination and treatment, because 95% of our water, freshwater resources, coming from this non-conventional water source. So we have to be innovative in this regard. So our role is to innovate and develop new technologies for desalinating water, and also at the same time treating the water, keeping our natural resources, which is freshwater groundwater and brackish groundwater also, which is majority of our groundwater, protected and developed also at the same time. So the technologies that we are using now, most of the GCC countries and Kuwait is transferring from thermal desalination, which is consuming more water, more energy, and more water from the sea, and very little water to be desalinated, to the membrane technologies. Membrane technologies. The famous one is RO, reverse osmosis, which is started at KISR and developed to match the seawater in Kuwait, and to produce more water and consume less energy. One of the things that we are concentrating on now, using non-renewable energy for desalinating water and water treatment, which will reduce the consumption of energy, the fossil fuel, our main income source. So we'll keep it for the next generations and use renewable energy like solar and wind energy for these purposes.
That's great. I mean, renewable energy is the way to the future, because one fine day most other energies are going to tire out. That's great. Could you give us a little message to our audience, if there's anything you'd like to say?
My message to the audience, mainly to conserve water, really, because we are a water scarce country, and this non-conventional water source is very expensive and costs the country a lot of money. And when you, even our, religion Islam also advise us to conserve water. This is a very important issue, and the conservation of water, we can use it. There are special apparatus that can be used in the houses, because the domestic sector in Kuwait is the most consuming sector in Kuwait. Around 70% goes to the domestic sector. The agriculture, of course, also they have to use a reasonable amount of water, and using the advanced treated water rather than the groundwater. So this is my short message to the audience.
Thank you so much for talking to us. It's a pleasure. We are now in conversation with Dr. Brett Lyons, Center for Environment, Fisheries and Aquaculture Center. Welcome to our show.
Thank you.
So you're going to be speaking today about the effects of salination on the marine environment here in Kuwait, right?
Yeah, that's correct. We're running a program here in Kuwait with the Environment Public Authority where we're looking at sustainable use of the marine environment, and it covers a whole range of activities, both from recreational users of the marine environment, so is it safe to swim in the seas, the fish safe to eat from Kuwaiti waters, all the way through to the impacts of industry and how Kuwait can continue to develop its infrastructure, building new ports and building bridges, and also obviously producing water for the general public, but doing it in a sustainable way to ensure that the marine environment continues to produce food and water, which obviously the citizens of Kuwait are reliant on.
So is it safe to swim in the sea? I like what you brought up. Our viewers would definitely like to know if it is okay to swim in the sea today.
I think there's certainly areas of Kuwait where sewage and wastewater discharge is an issue. The Environment Public Authority regularly monitors about 13 locations around the Kuwait coastline. But I think it's widely recognised that with the expanding population of Kuwait, I think it's trebled in the last few decades to now almost 4 million people. They're trying to keep up with the infrastructure to produce clean wastewater and to discharge it appropriately has been a huge issue. So there are certainly areas within Kuwait. Here in Sublakat Bay there's issues with sewage pollution. So I think certainly checking the EPA's websites to make sure that you are swimming in areas which have been designated as being sewage free would be very important.
So I'm sure there are certain current concerns about desalination of water here in Kuwait, drinking water. What is right now the biggest problem in Kuwait?
Well, it's actually, as well as being a national problem, it's a global problem. You have the Gulf, which is becoming warmer and more saline. You're having a reduction in freshwater flow from the Shatt al Arab, so this means that the salinity here is increasing. And if you have a more salty, warmer water, it's harder to actually produce drinking water from it. So I think it's a great challenge that not just Kuwait is facing, but the whole region is facing. And a lot of the work which is being talked about today is looking at new technologies to produce fresh water or drinking water for Kuwait and other regions in the Gulf in a more sustainable and low-energy way.
Is there anything a layman can do? I mean, I understand today a lot of scientists and researchers have gathered, and you're probably coming to a breakthrough technology. But if you had to ask the help of a regular citizen living in Kuwait, what do you think would be the first thing that they should incorporate in their everyday lives?
Well, I think there's a huge number of things that people can do to live more sustainably. Just thinking about simple things like turning off lights as you leave the room, or turning your air conditioning off if you're not actually in your building for a few days. Things like plastic reuse, disposing of plastic litter and general litter in a more sustainable way. So when you go to the mall, take your plastic bottles and recycle them. Other issues, and this is one thing I've noticed since moving to Kuwait, is the amount of plastic bags people use when they're shopping. I saw a figure the other day that said that there's 70 million plastic bags dispensed of in supermarkets every month in Kuwait.
Wow, that's a staggering number.
And that has an economic value. Over the course of the year, just in Kuwait alone, that's equivalent to about 84 million barrels of oil. So I think just people thinking about the number of plastic bags they need to use, take these bags for life, where you take a more sustainable bag to the supermarket to put your shopping in, that would have a huge impact in the amount of litter that's entering into landfill or entering on the streets because it's not being disposed of correctly.
That's a great message for each one of us at home who can bring this change about. If we discipline our lives to say, okay, I'm going to go to the shopping mall and use my own plastic bags and not take 50 when 5 will work, I think that's a great change that each one can bring about. So great message. Thank you so much for talking to us. Extremely delighted to bring to you Engineer Iqbal Al-Tayyar. She is part of the Ministry of Electricity and Water and leads the GCC campaign here in Kuwait. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you very much, and I'm happy to meet you and also to talk about our workshop. We, Ministry of Electricity, we are sharing by presentation talking about GCC campaign and all success experiment about how to save energy and water. And also we would like to see all the success project done in Britain and to be applied in also in Kuwait and GCC also. And also today was amazing workshop because we like that first time that we see the MBC share that to make all the workshop by applying all the 6 university from Britain, and each university they have a research very important to how to save water and also how to be because Kuwait have a little water, all country depend on the Gulf. So now we would like to know what the other sources that we can apply to our country, and we hope with also KISR to be have because we are every time dealing with many projects with KISR, and by bring all the experts from Britain, and I have a very successful projects last time when we bring smart meters from Birmingham University, and this smart meter measure the Kuwaiti consume in his home, and we find the shower is the highest level for consume, and we teach now the residential to be aware from shower that to be put like conserve tools to be save the water.
I like your message because this is one way that we can help in what the government is trying to do for us. Because if we are responsible about using water at homes, then imagine all these different homes can contribute in a way. We need to instill this value not just for us but also in the next generation.
Exactly. This is what now we have many campaign for schools and also for in malls, and also we by going to government and private sector make many lectures, and also we design brochure, easy simple brochure that we reach our message for all from the old generation to be understand and to be aware from how to save energy and water.
Very important message. Thank you so much for all your efforts that you're doing, because it is water is the future of our lives. It's our building block. So thank you so much for what you do. May you have every success.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, and appreciate you that you are available within our workshop, and I hope to be done well. Thank you.
We are now in conversation with Professor Abu Bakr Bahaj from the University of Southampton, UK. Welcome to our show.
Thank you very much.
Your talk about desalinization of the waters of Kuwait, what is it going to be about today?
For me, I'll be speaking about power generation that will be used in desalinating water. Kuwait is blessed with many resources like solar energy, like wind energy. So what I'm trying to do is to promote using these technologies rather than using oil. So you can save the oil and sell it somewhere else, which is much more value to Kuwait.
Good thinking. So you think we can harness the solar energy and wind energy well in a way that it would help to then purify water?
That's correct. And KISR has got a lot of experience in this area. And I think just making a move from oil to solar and wind will be an exciting proposition, not only from the point of view using low carbon, but also by employing a lot of people in this field.
You know, we've noticed a lot of solar panels all throughout the city. So this is a reality, going to be a reality soon, right? It's not like, how far away is it?
It's estimated by 2050, most of the energy that we get here will be coming from solar. So we better get our act together in this region. So when I flew across Kuwait yesterday, there are so many houses around where they could actually do something about this. They can have solar panels on the roofs of their houses. They can have it with batteries. They can reduce the cost of electricity by having these generation in their homes, especially for air conditioning. And that's really one of the best things to do, reduce the cost in your house as well as reduce it nationally.
Exactly. And you know, the irony would be you're using solar energy, which produces so much heat, to air condition and keep your homes cool. That's pretty neat. I'm sure the future generations are going to be really proud of us for coming up with this technology.
That's correct. But the solar energy, you can't only use it for heat, you can use it also for producing electricity. So there are two technologies. One, you can heat your water rather than use electricity. And the other one, you use electricity directly from solar energy, which you can power up your refrigerators, air conditioning, and also, I haven't been looking there. I'll start again. Okay. And also powering your air conditioning units and all the big appliances like tumble dryers and also TVs.
You know, I really like this idea of big minds coming together and coming up with a breakthrough technology of how to do this. But I also believe each person has some level of contribution, should have some level of contribution. What do you think is the best way that people who are not involved today at this event can work towards contributing to the society for water purification and many other environmental factors?
I think it's really important for Kuwait and also globally that we should mobilize the younger generation to get into these activities.
Could you tell us what is the best thing as individuals that we can do to contribute for a successful environmental awareness program?
I think it's really important to mobilize younger generation to be part of this new revolution. Around the world, a lot of people are interested in renewable energy. And that's very important for the future because it cuts pollution. It also allows us to be less dependent on fossil fuels. The way we mobilize them is to get the scientific community to create activities for them to be part and parcel of what's going on. And moreover, I think they should also have subjected ways to influence politicians in parliament as well at the government level. And that way can only come if we have the scientists and engineers really embedded with these policymakers. And I think the future generation should be the one to be empowered now rather than wait until later.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you.
It's good to talk to you too.
This brings us to the end of this episode. We hope you found this informative because the idea is to conserve water. The message of today's event for all of you out there watching this program is to be responsible in the way you consume water. While you take a shower, the number of plastic bags you use at a supermarket, all of these things contribute to keeping your environment safe, your environment beautiful for the next generations to come. We hope this message was loud and clear. It is the need of the hour that we conserve our water, and not just water, but our renewable energy sources using solar and wind. All of these things are important for a sustainable future, which our children need. We owe it to our children. So from all of us here, until next week, stay blessed.